we've been looking at the mutation of a white blood cell as being caused by a foreign organism or a foreign pathogen. The problem this poses is that we have created a war against germs. We've created a war against bacterium and what we perceive to be virus. What we're currently calling a virus is a toxin in our surrounding environment, a non-living strand of DNA that latches onto the cell, but it does not commandeer the cell. The cell replicates in a hypoxic response, meaning that once that cell harbors this toxin, the cell begins to mutate in correlation to its oxygen retention levels. What this means is as your toxicity goes up and your lymphatic system gets plugged, the oxygen levels in the cell go down and the mutation rates go up. This is why we're seeing cells mutate, and we have made the big mistake of calling that a virus or a viral mutation and associating it with a pathogen. Why am I making this video? Why is this semi-important right now? I do believe that should we begin looking at this in a different way and we begin perceiving this mutation as an antigen or a toxin, we're now changing our means of addressing the health crisis at hand. We're looking at contaminants in our surrounding environment rather than targeting the humans around us as potential carriers and spreaders. This will do a tremendous thing for not only the social dynamic of our culture, but it will take away that fear of the unknown that a lot of people are going through right now. The water is very important. If you're looking at the human body, we're at least 65% water. Some indigenous cultures say 90% water. Nonetheless, we have a huge volume of water within us, and our body and our life force functions upon the use of water. And should that water become contaminated with naturally occurring oxides within the steel pipes we pipe our water through, perhaps that's one of the leading causes of many of the illnesses we're seeing in the society today. The reason that is an important point is because there are many ways to perceive what's happening in human health right now. Health is multifaceted. It's not just our way or the highway. How the government is acting right now is absurd. It's surreal, but I can also understand where they're at in the psychic side of things. I do feel that many people in these divisions are overwhelmed with stress, and that stress is playing on their mind and causing them to suffer from cognitive dysfunction. If we're able to understand that, if we're able to see that and kind of see through it, they're just genuinely trying to do what they feel is right, but they're not able to see clearly because they're intoxicated. It's similar to a drunk person in a bar or someone who's literally out of their mind. You're going to be experiencing a lot of misleading things. You're going to be experiencing a lot of contradictions. You're going to see, if you're seeing clearly, if you're able to see through it, then you're going to be witnessing, in essence, a psychologically malfunctioning human being. And that is a health side effect of neurotoxicity. Some of the chemicals that we're using on a daily basis, and one of them I've made videos about, chlorine, are considered neurotoxins, meaning they're affecting your nervous system. And if this neurotoxin is in minute concentrations, well, of course it's not going to kill you right away. But over prolonged periods of exposure, you're going to see the steady deterioration in your health. Now, I find it very interesting that we saw the use of this chemical and then the rise and fall of tyrants throughout the last 100 years. And this goes as far back as the Roman Empire, if you're considering the lead poisoning people suffered from by running their water through lead pipes and cooking their water with lead pots. Where we're at right now is a crossroad, and the direction we're heading at present is towards the lack of bodily autonomy, which is a very dangerous path, and it can lead to a lot of suffering. We really need to think clearly. The moment you give up your bodily autonomy, it's now a free-for-all. Health as we see it today is categorized, symptoms are categorized into illnesses, when the reality of nature is you experience symptoms because you're exposing yourself to something. There's consequences for actions. So if you're not acknowledging the action that created the symptoms, you're not going to get anywhere. And right now, essentially everybody is running around saying, I'm sick because someone else made me sick. That's not taking responsibility for your own health. That's giving away your ability to respond to your own circumstance, your own health crises. And should we step into that power? Should we step back into ownership over our own actions and the consequences thereafter? Perhaps we could be heading towards a different path, getting back into nature, going and doing things that are within your own reality, inspiring your senses. You have 6 senses. You should be living into them, not running from them. If you're consistently afraid of what's going to happen to you, the equivalent would be me walking down the street running from a car thinking I'm going to get hit by the car. Every car that passes by me, it's lunacy. There is a lot of suffering happening, and it will continue to happen if we're not looking at the root cause of why it's happening. And at this point, we've made a very big mistake in the foundation of virology. We think we're dealing with a pathogen, when the reality that I'm seeing is that we're dealing with an antigen, which is a non-living thing. It's a poison, a toxin in our surrounding environment. This is very, very important. I talked to a virologist not so long ago. One of the points that did come up was this has been a highly debated subject in virology since the beginning of virology. So we're at that point now where we need to make a decision. Is it a living thing or is it not a living thing? Because it's going to completely change the outcome of how we're dealing with this situation. If you're dealing with a living thing, then you're looking at a pathogen, and the path you're taking is probably the correct path. If you're looking at an antigen, then you're looking at a toxin that's contaminating your surrounding environment, causing an immune response, which means the way of addressing that situation is entirely different. You're looking at population and public health. You're looking at what we're collectively exposing ourselves to. And this is why I keep coming back to the water. When we're looking at our water quality, I'm looking at something that most people in cities are exposed to around the world right now, because we have this idea in the foundation of science that we need to be killing off coliforms. And the reality is I'm looking at are that in fact these coliforms, when they die off, our respiratory illness rates go through the roof. You can look at any water management statistics. They make beautiful charts. They do a great job with that. Thank you guys for doing that, because it's made my life a lot easier as a random uneducated civilian going and looking into this stuff. It has helped tremendously. Your research is very amazing, and you've done an incredible job at displaying it. There's a spike in the wintertime, and to no surprise, you see coliform rates drop. So they're all dying, all these bacteria are dying, and you see flu rates go up. Well, yeah, of course they're gonna go up. You're now seeing free chlorine rates go up, coliform rates dropping, like bacteria dying off, and then all these people getting sick. I mean, it can't, in my opinion, can't get any more obvious than that. We're looking at a collective poisoning, and the symptoms of flu are the symptoms of acute poisoning. And the levels of poisoning and the severity of poisoning is determining your variants. Some people are more severe than others. There's different symptoms for different types of exposure, different exposure to different oxides. And so this is why it's a very overwhelming topic for a lot of people. They don't understand the diversity of nature. They think everybody just fits in one little square box and one little mold, that we're all the same kind of thing. And that's a dangerous concept, because everything in nature, no matter if I take these two leaves, they're always going to be different. There's no two of the exact same thing in nature. Nature is spontaneous, nature is random, nature is reality. And y'all are creating a world that's outside of reality, and that's not going to end so well. It's going to lead a lot of people to a lot of suffering, and I don't want to see that. So again, I will reiterate the point. A virus is a non-living strand of DNA. If it's not alive, then in my interpretation that would be considered an antigen, which by definition a virus is an antigen. This means that we're not dealing with an organism, we're dealing with a toxin causing an immune response due to the hypoxic mutation of our white blood cells. The cell does not change. It does not commandeer the cell and begin zombification of our cells. Like, you're talking about a zombie here. The equivalent would be me saying, hey, look at that dead cat on the side of the road. Oh, there's a blood cell. It's going to get up and start causing my blood cell to mutate. It makes no sense whatsoever. You're talking about a zombie, and the reality that I'm seeing is that the dead cat is there. It's just, it's not coming back. Sorry, guys. So your non-living strand of DNA is not going to latch onto a cell and begin replicating. The cell does the replication. The non-living strand of DNA is latched onto the outside of the cell, but the cell itself is the replicator. That's what white blood cells do. That's what all blood cells do. They replicate. So I hope this helps clarify a few things. I'll continue making some videos. I'm hoping to get off of this topic towards some more fun topics, but at the moment I do feel the need to do this because I feel there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of unclarity, and there's a lot of people who are on both sides suffering. I really want people to be happy and to be carefree again, to go and do the things that they love to do and experience the beauty of this planet, because we only get so much time here. If you believe in time. So I hope you guys the best in your health journeys and your life journeys, and I'm looking forward to the next video. Take care, everybody.